come back from the height and the magnitude of NXT TakeOver Portland, and we're back in for one more week of amazing wrestling action. This is Wrestling with Egos. I'm Patrick, that's Brian. This week, we're going to talk about a lot of things. We're going to talk about AEW, NXT, Monday Night Raw, not SmackDown because it's currently 9:52 p.m. Eastern Time on Friday. SmackDown's still going on and the TV's over there. I ain't watching it. Sorry, I'll watch it later. We'll talk about it next week. But then we're also going to conclude tonight's discussion by simply talking about a time period in wrestling, and I got to do it the right way. They can only be defined with the words ruthless aggression. Sorry, got to do it that way because that's how it needs to go. We'll get more into that as the show goes on, but officially, welcome to the show. As you've already seen and heard with the little neon graphics, Patrick and Brian here as always. Don't forget to join in on the conversation by either hitting us up on Twitter. Handles are below our names right now. Don't forget to email the show, wrestlingwithegos@gmail.com. Google repository, bit.ly/withegos. And don't forget to like, subscribe, share, hit the bell for the notifications, all that good shit. And yes, I'm starting the show 2 minutes in, and I've already sworn. I'm in a good mood. Brian, how about you?
Doing well, sir. Excited to go into deep on this topic, and excited to talk about the week that was in professional wrestling. I actually, full disclosure, do not have a bad or an ugly this week in our good, bad, and ugly segment. Pardon me?
Before we get into that, I'd like to point out the shirt that I'm wearing. As you guys can see, I am wearing the Captain C for the show because I am look at me. I am the captain now. Not really, it's an Indian shirt. But I saw it in frame and I was like, ooh, I am the captain now.
Congratulations.
Full disclosure, never seen have yet to see Captain Phillips. Heard it was pretty good.
I haven't seen it either. But I just, for various reasons, didn't get to see a whole lot of wrestling this week. Saw a little bit of NXT, saw a little bit of Raw, haven't watched AEW yet. I know it was a barn burner, so I need to go back and rectify that over the weekend. So that's the main reason I do not have a bad or an ugly this week, is just because, I'll abstain. We'll put it that way. My good is that on Wednesday we had the in-ring return of one Velveteen Dream. And it's been a long time coming. I didn't realize how much I missed him and his theatrics and his in-ring acumen. Great match. Probably not the last between him and Roderick Strong. This could go on ad infinitum.
Roddy Strong, Velveteen Dream can go as long as Keith Lee, Dominic Dijakovic. Right. There, I said it. Fight forever. Please and thank you. First off, it's also at the same time, it's of my opinion that Roderick Strong can have a match with anybody and turn out at least 3.5 stars, even if he's drunk. Roderick Strong is just that good, bottom line. But then again, anybody in the Undisputed Era is that good. And that is undisputed. Other way. Oh, there you go. Nice done. Nicely done. Or as Tommaso Ciampa would say.
Right.
But yeah, such a good match. A lot of hard-hitting strikes. It was a very good contrast of both styles. Dream with the mind games that he always does, pulling off the onesie, which Mrs. Rant Mode On, who is a massive Dream fan, was like, oh, come on. No, you can't wear the little one-piece romper. No, that's not what the dream is. You gotta, and she's literally pointing from from belt line to here going, you gotta show the goods. I mean, yes, this is my wife. kayfabe. You know what? Fine. Let her go for it. That means I considered Alexa Bliss's butt. Cool. I said it. I freely admit. I look, and you can rate me off on it all you want. Anyway, but he pulls that off, and there's the old Ravishing Rick Rude Cheryl Roberts special with Marina Shafir's face on his tights, and I'm just like, oh, ladies and gentlemen, that is Mind Games 401.
Yep.
Oh, that is some of.
And for Dream to be so young and get it to that level. Yeah, he's he's mining depths that most people that age don't even dream about.
No.
Like, I'm just going to go to the ring and have a good match. No, I'm going to go to the ring and break down your psyche.
Yeah, I mean, look at all these young cats that are in NXT. Like, for example, who's this kid that Tommaso Ciampa beat the brakes out of?
Austin Theory.
Austin Theory, young guy, built great, face like $1 million. I mean, good looking kid. He just goes out and has great matches. He's just a match machine. Dream is just, he is very, very good in the ring. There's a lot of other guys in NXT that can wrestle circles around him. But Dream approaches psychology like a science. It is brilliant how he can connect with the audience in a way.
Much the psychology game, it's pretty much him and Bray Wyatt right now. Nobody else. I'm struggling to think of anybody else who, Finn's evolving, and Finn's, I liked his little Finn. That was another good Finn's little promo on Wednesday night. NXT is my chessboard, and wait till you see what my next move is. Mm-hmm. I'm like, so it is Adam Cole or it isn't, or maybe he's going to be the one that finally torpedoes the Undisputed Era. I don't know, but it made me start thinking. But in terms of the total package, because Finn's not doing a lot of the theatrics anymore.
No.
He's talking right to your face. I'm going to do this. And then he goes out and he does it.
Because legitimately, WWE, NXT, whatever you want to call it, he is literally taking the Prince Devitt character that founded Bullet Club, and he's morphed and he has brought it to WWE. It's literally Prince Devitt without, Bad Luck Fale and Tama Tonga and Anderson and Gallows.
Right. So, I mean, aside, Dream and Wyatt really, you can include Finn Balor in that if you want, but Dream and Wyatt are the only ones I think that are doing it in the ring and in the promos and in the mannerisms and in the mind games and in all of it. Everybody else is really just going out and, talking on the microphone for 5 minutes and then going and having a match.
You mean like Seth Rollins?
With the one glove. I'm so tired of the one glove and all, but anyway.
In the fur and the fuzzy neck jacket. Jeez.
Yeah, great for catching your sweat.
Yeah, this is true. Which gets me to my bad. I'm going to do my bad first because I do have a bad and a good. My bad is just simply Monday Night Raw. Is it just me or is this shit getting repetitive? It's like a 5-minute long sermon from Seth Rollins while everybody else just stands behind him. It's like literally Seth Rollins is Paul Heyman and he has 3 Brock Lesnar's behind him. Hey, let's tease Ricochet versus. We all know full damn well Ricochet is going to look cool in this match for about 5 minutes and then he's going to get executed. So can we please stop that? Becky comes out, cuts another promo about Shayna, and her promo was good. I love the fact that she was dumping money out in the ring, like, hey, I'm preemptively paying my fine. That was badass. I liked that, but it was a whole lot of this and not a lot of this. Raw is starting to become that, which Raw has now become. What's the exact opposite of appointment television?
Read the reviews the next morning television.
Ding! Yeah, that's what Raw is. Catch the highlights. Or literally, fast forward. You know, DVR is a beautiful thing. I'm finding Raw to be boring. More boring than a Lance Storm promo, which, by the way, those were supposed to be boring because that's how they wrote it. If I could be serious for a moment.
I've often said that the WWE is no place for crazy offbeat shenanigans.
Offbeat shenanigans, that was it.
If I could be the courtesy of no interruptions, I'll list the reasons why.
Hey, Brian, let's go ahead and move on.
Splendid. Number one.
Insert APA's music.
Right.
Yeah. Trust me.
You said you had a good?
Oh, yes, I do. I have one. And trust me, I could have had a lot of goods from Wednesday night. Velveteen Dream. That damn cage match. Whew, that was fun. Not a match of the year candidate, but damn, that was just fun. It was just a fun match. It had a lot of great drama to it. I liked it. And it's my good, and Brian, you alluded to this several weeks ago when they just got off the cruise ship. And I believe that was your good. I'm doubling down on it now because it has now become a trend. The crowd, when Chris Jericho comes out and the crowd starts singing Judas. Keep in mind, boys and girls, AEW up until this past Wednesday has been performing in smaller venues than the biggest venue in town. When they're in Pittsburgh, they're not at the Igloo. When they're or PPG Paints Arena. When they're in Cleveland, they're not at Rocket Mortgage
Fieldhouse. When they came to Cleveland last month, where the AEW assassin took his family to, shout out to RJ, by the way, they were at the Wolstein Center, which is on Cleveland State's campus. So basically a 7,000-ish seat arena.
Wednesday night, they were in Atlanta at State Farm Arena, home of the Atlanta Hawks. I looked it up, about 13,000 people for that venue. It is, with the exception of the MGM Grand, it is the largest venue that AEW has played in its entire lifespan. Even the Sears Center is smaller than either one of those. Sears Center in Chicago, where they did All In and All Out.
Can I guess what you're about to say?
What?
Was the crowd in full throat when Jericho came out?
It was beautiful.
I believe it. I can imagine.
It was glorious, and you could see the look on Jericho's face. It was almost to him. He's trying to mean mug it because he's the heel, but you could just tell he just wanted to have this big ass shit eating grin. Like, this is awesome. You know, kind of like the story
half smirk, half smile that he's famous for.
Yeah, kind of like the story of WrestleMania 30 when Triple H and Stephanie are in the ring. Triple H is already in the ring for his match with Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan comes out and everybody in the Superdomes, yes, yes, yes. He looks at Stephanie. Stephanie looks at him, and apparently, paraphrasing Trips, he said, Stephanie never swears, and she just looks at me and goes, holy shit, this is awesome. I'm like, yeah, it's kind of one of those things. So that was my good because I saw that. Now, I saw and heard it. And I'm like, this is what professional wrestling is supposed to be. It's not just what happens in the ring, and it's not what happens out of the ring or coming down the ramp, and it's not just the people involved in the match. It's the connection with us.
Yep.
And when it happens organically, sorry to really use this phrase, and this might be a little cringeworthy, but I'm sorry, I don't care, because I can't come up with an even more extreme superlative. when it happens that organically, it's almost orgasmic because you're just like, this is, it reminds me of college football. You know, it reminds me of that deep passion that college football fans have. And obviously me growing up in the South, plenty of that. I mean, how many times have I used the phrase War Eagle on this show? A lot. You're going to need more than 10 fingers and 10 toes. And while you may be a brilliant teacher, you can only count to 20. He went with me. There you go. But Wednesday night with them doing that, it felt like that. It felt like just kind of throwing out some songs that I know that crowds cheer. Alabama fans singing Dixieland Delight in between, I think, the third and fourth quarters. Right after halftime, Florida's fans singing Won't Back Down by Tom Petty. Before kickoff, Auburn fans singing Living on a Prayer. Tennessee fans singing Rocky Top every 5 seconds. God, I hate Tennessee fans.
Ohio State doing Hang On Sloopy.
Yeah, Ohio State doing Hang On Sloopy. I mean, there's, a ton of them. LSU fans before kickoff doing Callin' Baton Rouge. I mean, there's a ton of them. And they're all done with just passion, raw emotion, and just pure emotional investment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's organic. Hey, we're gonna try this. We're gonna see if it works. Shit, it works. It's organic. It's beautiful. It's passionate. It's orgasmic. It's just that kind of that. Yeah, that is what it's what it's supposed. This is what it's supposed to feel like, boys and girls.
I just came up with one more good.
What's that?
And I hope the rumors are true. I hope everything I'm reading has been true. WrestleMania 36. Apparently, The Undertaker wants to get him some of the Phenomenal One. And
AJ, got him some of the Phenom.
Yes. So if the rumors are true, that's a great utilization of both of them, I think.
Can I just say this? Undertaker, AJ Styles. I have 6 words for you.
Shut up and take my money.
Ding!
Yeah. This WrestleMania card is turning into a pretty stacked.
This could
really
be
quickly
nasty WrestleMania card because, fuck everything else. Dude, you're looking at Shayna and Becky, which that's going to be just gnarly. Rhea and Charlotte. Rhea being one of the most up-and-coming women in WWE, and Charlotte already being the GOAT. I'm sorry, Charlotte is the GOAT.
You're gonna have Brock and Drew.
Yeah.
You're gonna have Bray Wyatt and somebody.
Bray and Roman, probably. I'm okay with that.
Bray should retain.
Bray should retain, but if he's going to lose the title to somebody, it should. In my honest opinion, at this point, if Bray Wyatt's going to lose the title, there's 3 people in WWE he should lose to, and only 3: Roman Reigns, The Undertaker, or John Cena. That's it. There is nobody else in WWE with the cachet. There's nobody else in WWE that has the, I'm using that word again, equity to beat Bray Wyatt.
Right.
It's kind of like, okay, who's going to be the guy that beats Hulkamania? Who's going to be the guy that beats freaking Austin? you have to have the right guy.
Mm-hmm.
And there's only one guy active, like consistently active, and that's Roman. It ain't Seth. It ain't Brock. I'm sorry. Brock and Fiend, while that would be fun as hell, they'd put Brock over because they always put Brock over, but it wouldn't make any sense. I hope to God they're literally planning on feeding Goldberg to the Fiend, because that only makes the Fiend stronger, which makes Roman's case against the Fiend even stronger. And I'm sorry, I think that'd be a great match, because we've seen in the past those two just beat the shit out of each other.
Right.
And you know me, I like hard-hitting matches like that. I like them ugly. But yeah, it's either Roman, it's Undertaker, or it's Cena. And the other two, and the two old guys aren't around all the time. So
It doesn't
it's got to be. You know, he's not my favorite in the world, but he's the only name that makes sense. I couldn't even put Drew in the ring with the Fiend and give Drew the case to knock off Bray Wyatt. As hot as a damn firecracker that Drew McIntyre is right now, Drew ain't got the cachet. He doesn't have the equity to be able to say, yeah, I can knock off one of the two hottest things in all of wrestling right now. Two hottest things in the business. Bray, Balor.
Yep.
No question. And I defy you to tell me what number 3 is and how far away 1 and 2 are from 3. Because I'll tell you right now, it ain't close. Nothing's generating the same kind of buzz that Finn Balor is and that The Fiend is. None of them.
Maybe my 3 would be Adam Cole, but
Not even close.
The gulf is pretty large.
Yeah, it's the Grand Canyon. It's the Atlantic. It's the Atlantic.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, yeah. It is literally the amount of time you would spend if you started playing God of War on PlayStation 4 and did not sleep until you completed the game at 100%. By the way, about 75 hours. Not that I know from experience, because I'm still 135 hours into it. I've beaten the game, but I still haven't found everything. So yeah. Anyway, moving right along. So let's talk a little Wednesday, just a little bit, because obviously I think we want to spend the majority of the time on this ruthless aggression discussion, which I'm really looking forward to. God, can you tell I'm a little pumped for the show? Hey, I'll buy that for $1. One thing I really enjoyed, and well, 2 things I really enjoyed. AEW, my biggest bitch about them, Brian, since you haven't watched all of it, so you can chime in where you can. Cool. If not, this will be a short segment. Yeehaw. My biggest bitch about AEW has been the fact that they have really struggled in building storylines. But lately, they've actually been doing a really damn good job of it, because they're building this Moxley versus Jericho storyline so well. I love it, because it's just, it's become this eye for an eye thing. And now you bring in Jeff Cobb, and Moxley and Jeff Cobb have a really good match on Dynamite in Atlanta. And then, big, gigantic myth.
I love how they're also humanizing the Inner Circle.
Oh, yeah.
The way they did, especially with Santana and Ortiz, they're not just making them cookie cutter heels. They're, here's why I'm acting this way.
Right.
And I like that. That's complex storytelling.
Very much so.
As opposed to AOP just standing there mute behind Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy. We're getting a glimpse into why Santana and Ortiz are so motivated. We're getting a glimpse into why Sammy Guevara is so motivated. we're getting a glimpse into why Jericho feels the need to keep surrounding himself with muscle like Jeff Cobb. You know,
Right.
we buy into it all, and it's compelling because they've let us see into their minds a little bit.
And it's not just because again, I bitch so much about, well, the inner circle is just the inner circle, which is basically Jericho and his bitches. I believe I referred to him as Jericho and the Pips several weeks ago. But now look at everything going on with the inner circle. Jericho's got his issues with Moxley. I think I might have actually slipped up earlier and said Dean Ambrose. If I did, -1 for Patrick.
You didn't. You've called him Moxley the whole time.
All right, cool, yay! Like, I kind of thought that I might have, just like calling RJ Jr. But you've got Jericho and Moxley, and you've also got Santana and Ortiz, and learning more about them. You got Jake Hager and Dustin, and their shit, and now you got Sammy Guevara and Darby Allin. Shut up and take my money on that one. Darby Allin and the Sammy Guevara? Hell yes. Give me that match. Give me that match next week on Dynamite. Give me that match at Revolution. Give me that, 4 out of 7 falls. I mean, hell yes. There's so many moving parts now to the inner circle that it's just like, cool. And the elite is no longer really the elite, because now you've got the Young Bucks and you've got versus Page and Omega for the titles at Revolution. Kenny seems to still be cool with the Bucks, but Hangman wants to go do his own thing. You've got MJF and Cody, and man, I thought this whole here's the stipulations I want and blah, 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 blah. I thought they were just dragging that on, but the last 2 weeks have been really enthralling because obviously, 3 weeks, because 2 weeks ago, Cody took those lashes, and then this week was the cage match with Wardlow. Wardlow didn't really do a whole lot by himself, but Wardlow working off of Cody and vice versa made Cody look like a bona fide star, which we've all known he is, but also made Wardlow look like a juggernaut. Wardlow ain't got a whole lot to him, but Wardlow's a bad sumbitch. That's how everything got packaged by the end of that match. And also, love the fact that they apparently have just burnt the damn Nightmare Collective to the ground, because Brandy Rhodes is out there in a denim jacket in MJF's face, and they're just with each other. And then all of a sudden, here comes Arn Anderson to do something I've never seen anybody do in all my years of watching wrestling. He battle royaled him over the top rope, even though they were on the outside of the ring, over the guardrail into the fans. Just back of the shirt, back of the pants, whee! Or if you follow All Elite on Instagram, they literally threw in that sound effect, and it was hilarious. My 10-year-old daughter, who does not watch wrestling with me, saw that earlier this evening and thought, okay, that was funny. She doesn't like wrestling, but the fact that that popped the 10-year-old.
Well, that's good.
Oh, yeah. So I love what they're doing and how the inner circle has become 5 freaking storylines all at once, because they're actually showcasing all of these dudes who are all good. Kind of looking forward to seeing Hager and Dustin, because, Hager's a legit athlete. Always has been, always will be. Has the charisma of a thimble filled with air. But you know what? In the ring, bad. And Dustin Rhodes is Dustin Rhodes. Dustin Rhodes is one of the most underrated professional wrestlers in the history of the business. And the architect of one of the greatest characters of all time. I defy you, other than like maybe The Undertaker, to find me a better one. Goldust was just simply amazing. And if you disagree, you can find me on Twitter at rantmodeon, and you can also email me at kissmyass. Because you're wrong and I'm right. Arrogant comment of the week, number one. That's what I got, man. I love the fact that in NXT they're teasing more Keith Lee, Dominic Dijakovic, and to that I simply say yes, please. Because here's what I think. Mrs. Rant Mode On and I were watching NXT together, and I looked at her after they did that, after they had their interaction with each other, and I looked at her and I said, I bet you we're going to get Dijakovic and Lee at TakeOver Tampa in a Iron Man match or something like that, like a test of endurance. And then I had to explain to her what an Iron Man match was, and she went, "Oh God, that would be awesome." Hey, I'm just saying. I know people watch this show. Come on,
Right.
Iron Man match, Heavy Double D and Keith Lee. Yeah. I'd put that on a card and go, hey, yeah, FTMF. Follow that.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I'm cool with that. Like you had mentioned earlier, I'm kind of thinking the Prince's next move is going to be Adam Cole, baby. I hope so. That could be fun.
That would be very fun.
A nice long build up to that match instead of oh, hey, by the way, Devitt's gonna, Balor wins this number one contenders match and he gets Adam Cole next week. No, right. Give me a 3-4 week build to this. Give me some mind games. Give me some Undisputed Era beatdown. Don't give me anybody else on Balor's side. Basically, Balor's the anti-hero in this. I mean, he sure as hell isn't the heel because Balor's getting popped too much. Balor's kind of starting to remind me kind of like almost like a Punisher kind of thing. Just dark and I'm the man and I got no heart. It's kind of like that, and I like that. So give me that. Give me that anti-hero. By the way, the finger's healing pretty well, guys. Thanks for the thoughts and the prayers, and hey, you're a wuss. But yeah, I'm not flipping anybody off now, and the swelling's gone down, and a cortisone shot. Yay! Mm-hmm. By the way, those things hurt. Just an FYI, if you never had one, they suck. And I'm not generally a wuss when it comes to taking shots. I'm a wuss when it comes to a lot of things, but needles generally don't bother me. That one sucked. That's really all I got, man, as far as NXT and AEW and Raw sucked donkey balls and SmackDown just ended. So we'll watch that. I'm going to watch that. I'm going to run that back this weekend and we'll talk about it next week if there's anything to talk about.
Right.
We got Super Showdown coming, and apparently rumor around the campfire is that everybody in WWE, crew and talent alike, have made a pact with each other. No one leaves until everybody leaves.
That's good.
Vince will leave everybody high and dry.
Right.
Vince and Roman and Brock and, the one percenters. Whatever. Anyway, you wanted to talk about this, so it's all you.
Thank you, sir. I figured tonight would be a good evening to unpack a topic at length. It's been a while since we've done this. Those of you who are eagle-eyed viewers of the WWE Network no doubt noticed a new miniseries debuting earlier this week called the Ruthless Aggression Era.
No, no. It's not. That's not what it's called. Do it right. I'm gonna make you do it. I'm gonna make you do it.
The Ruthless Aggression era.
All right, real quick, guys, in the comments on YouTube, let us know who did a better Ruthless Aggression, me at the beginning or Brian just now.
Yes. And when we use the term Ruthless Aggression, we're referring to the period in time, we're going to say about 2002, WrestleMania 18 time frame, 19, sorry, till about 2010 or 2011, give or take a year or two.
We're basically going the end of The Rock and Austin's in-ring careers, which was 18 in 19 in Seattle.
Yeah.
That was their last WrestleMania in-ring full time, to 2011, which gave us WrestleMania 27 in Atlanta. Yes. When The Rock came back and screwed over John Cena, which that's when the PG era began. Maybe it began a little bit sooner, but you know what? We're ballparking it here. We're not trying to be scientific, so whatevs.
And the term Ruthless Aggression came from a promo that Mr. McMahon came out and cut, because this was a transitionary period for WWE.
Oh, yeah.
A lot like the Attitude Era, where you had all the old standbys, you know, Hogan and people like that had left and you needed new talent. Same thing. You know, Rock has gone off to do movies in Hollywood. Stone Cold has retired because of health issues. And a lot of the...
And then quit because he didn't want a job to Brock Lesnar.
True. And you had a lot of these holdovers that were, you know, getting a little long in the tooth, if you will, or left for whatever reason, you know, to seek other opportunities. So you needed a crop of new talent. And Vince called this, it's time to shake up Raw and shake up SmackDown. It's time to show some Ruthless Aggression. And what made it famous, and what Patrick and I were imitating earlier, the famous night when Kurt Angle was out there and he issued an open challenge to anybody in the back who wants to come out. And out comes John Cena in the little bike shorts and, you know, the buzz cut and the floppy hair, you know, coming down. And, you know, what makes you think, you know, and Cena snaps off the Ruthless Aggression and slaps, you know, Kurt Angle in the face.
At a Kurt Angle.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about it because I believe, Patrick, you said earlier the first 2 episodes of the miniseries are on the network now.
Which is basically sorry, I got to readjust. I'm a little uncomfortable. The shaking up of Raw and what set everything up, which was more or less, you know, WCW dead, Raw and SmackDown are now the competition for each other. And then Rock leaving, Austin taking his shit and going home. Sorry, I love Steve Austin, but Steve Austin quit. There you go. He doesn't get a free pass from me on that one. He quit, just like CM Punk quit. You can come back, but you still quit. Screw you. You're not getting a free pass on that. So that set that up. And literally, the last thing they discussed on that first episode was McMahon's speech on Raw, ironically enough, which happened in Cleveland, Ohio. And then the very next night, later on in the week, they had SmackDown, and I think they were still taping SmackDown on Tuesdays, actually. Kurt Angle comes out, has his open challenge to anyone he has never faced before. And John Cena comes out. Who the hell are you? What makes you think, what qualities do you possess that make you think you can get in the ring and take on the very best in the business? Cut.
Right.
Because we all know what John Cena says next. Ruthless Aggression. And then the next episode picks up with that because it is the rise of John Cena. That's all the second episode is. Because literally, that is the foundation for Ruthless Aggression, was the rise of John Cena. Much like the rise of the Attitude Era was a guy in black trunks with stitches in his lip uttering, Austin 316 says, I just whipped your ass. That's literally, that is the foundation. Argue with me all you want, you're wrong.
Yeah. So what I thought we would do tonight is we'll take a deep dive. We'll talk about what we liked about that time in WWE. We'll talk about what we didn't like.
I have something I hated fervently.
Foreshadowing tonight's homework comes from the Ruthless Aggression era, because how could it not? We got to be topical here. That's what you count on. That's what you expect. That's what you demand, ladies and gentlemen out there in Wrestling with Egos land, because we are a lean, mean, wrestle-talking machine, and you would expect nothing less from somebody as, well-versed in this genre as your boy.
Yeah. Let me start the conversation with something, because when you mentioned that homework was going to come from the Ruthless Aggression era, one thing I want to start off with that I loved. Think about not only how many great stars came out of the Ruthless Aggression era, how many unknown or unproven people at this point became champions during the Ruthless Aggression era and are now either in the Hall of Fame, about to be in the Hall of Fame, or at some point damn near down the road will be in the Hall of Fame. I give you, not even counting John Cena. John Cena is a brainless Hall of Fame inductee whenever he feels like it. Just like The Undertaker, just like The Rock. They just have to call Vince and say, I'm going in this year. Yes, sir. That's it. Those are gold standards, and we don't talk about gold standards on this show because those are all fucking dumb. It's like, who's the greatest hitter you ever? Who's one of the greatest baseball players you ever saw? Ken Griffey Jr., Cal Ripken Jr., Ted Williams. Duh, we know. Think about this. I'm just gonna rattle off some names: Randy Orton, Edge, JBL, Batista, Eddie Guerrero. Got another shimmy in there. Can't, kind of like, mentioning Bullwinkle and not putting the antlers up to your head. You can't say Eddie Guerrero and not do as crappy as it might look. You still got to do it. I'm sorry, we say his name on this show, Chris Benoit, Rey Mysterio. My God, you had CM Punk. I mean, there were so many. I've never heard of this guy, and then we really hear of that guy. You're like, oh my God! And now he's talked amongst the upper echelons in the history of the business, not just for Ruthless Aggression, but like all time. Rey Mysterio Jr. We've already done a GOAT episode on him. We can do a GOAT episode on Edge. We can do a GOAT episode on Randy Orton. We might be able to do a GOAT episode on Batista.
While you were ticking off those names, that was my first point, was just the vast array of talent. And I made check marks next to everybody you mentioned that I already had written down in my notes.
How many did I miss? How many did I miss?
Well, to be fair, a lot of the people you missed, I would consider holdovers from the Attitude Era.
Okay, hit me.
The only one you didn't mention is Brock Lesnar. Really. Because Lesnar also came out of this, and the one point I was going to bring up was WWE was doing something smart. This was the genesis, really, of the developmental system. They realized we have to stop importing guys from other places. We have to grow our own people here. So in Ohio Valley Wrestling, Southern Ohio, Tennessee, West Virginia area, I think is where, because that's the Ohio Valley territory.
That was based out of Louisville, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct. You had in a short period of time, they were developing all of these people. Cena was down there. Batista was down there. Shelton Benjamin was down there. Brock Lesnar was down there. Randy Orton was down there. That's just 5 people. that were awfully, awfully consequential to this Ruthless Aggression era, because Shelton Benjamin was the one that was doing all that eye-popping stuff in ladder matches and things like that, and had a couple runs with the Intercontinental Championship. He's no slouch.
In the bank match at WrestleMania 21 when he knocked Jericho off on his ass from the top of the ladder. Right. Real quick, I want to argue with you before you continue on one thing. Brock Lesnar.
Okay.
I, for my money, would argue that Brock Lesnar was less consequential for the Ruthless Aggression era than anybody else I named, and here's why. Brock Lesnar bailed after WrestleMania 20 to go for the Vikings because he got his panties in a wad, and he didn't come back until 2013 or 2012, after this time period we're discussing, to take on Cena.
I know. I had to include, I felt like the need to include him because he was down there at the time. He was being cultivated. I'm not saying that he's the be-all, end-all. You know my feelings about Brock Lesnar. I'm not.
Don't get me wrong. Now, I appreciate what Brock Lesnar means to professional wrestling. Brock Lesnar to me is a sideshow attraction because he is box office, not to start off with because of what he did in the beginning of his career in WWE. WrestleMania 19 and that match with Kurt Angle where he damn near killed himself doing the shooting star press. But you also cannot ignore the fact that he had one of the greatest dumpster fires in the history of dumpster fires at WrestleMania 20 against Goldberg, and then took his shit to not even make the cut for the Minnesota Vikings. Then he tries New Japan, still doesn't want to be a pro wrestler, goes to the UFC and destroys. The UFC was more beneficial to Brock Lesnar as a professional wrestler than the beginning of the Ruthless Aggression era. I will argue that until I'm blue in the face. You and I could probably make an entire show out of that. I'm not disqualifying Brock Lesnar, but I am not only as a professional wrestler, not even close to disqualifying him as an athlete, because the guy is superhuman.
Yeah.
And not even being able to disqualify him as a draw, but to put him in terms of because I'm still talking about the foundation. Brock Lesnar was not there long enough to be a part of the foundation. He started it. He was a part of the beginning and then left it in charge of better people.
Yeah. And then there's a few other holdovers that I feel like we would be guilty of omitting if we did. You got to put Kurt Angle in there.
Oh, God, yes.
You got to put Triple H in there. You got to put The Undertaker in there. Because The Undertaker's the constant. I mean, The Undertaker kept showing up at a lot of different points.
And you also have to put Shawn in there.
Yes. Shawn Michaels is an omission. I didn't write him down. But really, if you think about it, the Ruthless Aggression era is also when the streak started becoming a really big deal. Because he went at it with Orton. He went at it with Shawn towards the end of the Ruthless Aggression era. He went at it with Batista. All of these people, Mark Henry. That's when we started really noticing. Wow, the Undertaker's 12-0 at WrestleMania. Wow, he's 13-0 at WrestleMania, and that's when it's becoming this holy grail, if you will. Yeah. And I would be doing a disservice if I left out some of the ladies too, because yes, we know the women's revolution has happened lately, but there was still some good female wrestlers happening during the Ruthless Aggression era too, even though their ring time was not what we wanted it to be. You still had Natalya and Beth Phoenix doing mad work. Shout out to Beth Phoenix from my hometown of Buffalo.
Mickie James.
I forgot about her. Trish Stratus, all of these ladies, showing you that, hey, women can wrestle. There's more to this than just cat fights and arguments about makeup and, all of the stereotypes that we are hopefully dead and buried in the past.
I got two more. Molly Holly, Victoria.
Yes.
Both of those, neither one of them get the credit they deserve, but they were both phenomenal talents. that were very influential in the history of women's professional wrestling. Because keep in mind, while Nora Greenwald, also known as Molly Holly, may not be up on the top of anyone's list as like one of the greats of the ring, she was an influence to so many women after her. Beth Phoenix in her Hall of Fame speech talked about how Molly Holly paid for her school, paid for her wrestling classes. Very recently on Up, Up, Down, Down, or on their sister channel, Left, Right, which is all done from the Center because Tyler Breeze took his shit over there, which is just hilarious. Tegan Knox mentioned the fact that her two favorite wrestlers as she was growing up were Kane and Molly Holly. I don't know if you noticed this, but at TakeOver Portland, she choke slammed Dakota Kai, then went up and hit the Molly go-round. Beautiful. And by the way, I popped for the Molly go-round because I remember the conversation she had with Woods on Up, Up, Down, Down, which was talking about that. And she said that she had texted Molly. She got her number from Matt Bloom and texted her asking for permission to use the Molly go-around. And Molly's response, yeah, go for it. Just don't let anyone kick out at 1. So they kicked out at 2. I'm just pointing that out.
Right.
I digress. Continue with positivity because I got some negativity that I want to espouse in a little bit.
Well, I have some negativity too, and that's where I was actually headed next because, I mean, the assemblage of talent, you know, we've already listed about, 17 or 18 people.
Yeah.
Is staggering. Here's, boys and girls, where I have a little bit of a problem with the Ruthless Aggression era. And maybe this is what you were going to say, so I apologize for stealing your thunder if this is what you were going to say.
I'm gonna cuss if you're on the same wavelength as me.
Where I have a problem with the Ruthless Aggression era, you have all these great personalities, okay? Why on earth is the storytelling so terrible? Why on earth are we having Eric Bischoff around and all of his stupid ideas and, yeah, I have that one written down.
3-minute warning.
Why are we having Triple H in arm wrestling matches with Goldberg? Why are we doing push-up contests and pose downs and stuff like that? I feel like you could have done so much better. Now, yes, the trilogy with that Triple H and Batista had was outstanding. So well done with the splintering of Evolution and everything like that. Beautiful.
Storytelling with Randy Orton and his dad against The Undertaker.
Yes. And the two matches Undertaker and Shawn had. But the storytelling is so top heavy.
Oh yeah.
You get outside the main event and everything else is just, it's either comedy or it's food fights. The tag division was pretty lit. The tag division was fun because you still had the Hardys, you had London and Kendrick, you had Kofi Kingston winning the title with 500,000 different people, and you also had Eminem. There was that one week that he tagged with me when they came to Cleveland and we won it. It was the best night of my life. It was just, I was so happy to play a small part in. But
again, we got Eminem. And I'm sorry, for my money, Nitro and Mercury were an amazing tag team. I loved them.
But I'm just talking about, top to bottom. Like the storytelling was so top heavy. Like we get outside that main event, for the championship or whatever Undertaker was doing or what have you.
It got boring.
It did, and it got contrived, and it was like, okay, well, we did this in WCW, so we're going to do it again. And it's like, no.
Tori Wilson and Dawn Marie and Tori's dad, who up until Tori was inducted into the Hall of Fame, I thought that was an actor. That was legitimately her dad.
Forgot all about that.
Yeah. We had Triple H and Kane and Katie Vick. We had Vince and Shawn. I'm sorry. We had Vince and Shane versus Shawn Michaels and his tag team partner, God.
I need a moment here to.
Yeah. By the way, you can see Brian's penmanship, which is actually quite nice. I have several birthday and Christmas cards that were handwritten by my good friend Brian over there, and his penmanship is quite lovely. I just want to point that out. You know what I got a problem with? You know what? The one thing, because this is kind of sidebarring a little bit, which, you know, I've never done on this show before. I've never gone off on some weird tangent. Ever. Brian, you know how in conversations outside of the world of wrestling with egos, I have mentioned to you that I think one of the biggest detriments to nowadays is the advent of social media.
You mentioned that a time or two.
Serves a great purpose, is also cancerous. The biggest, most cancerous thing to happen during the Ruthless Aggression era, 2 words: Divas Search.
Yeah, pretty bad.
That, boys and girls, is what made the bottom part of the card just
cringeworthy,
brutal. There is a reason. Me. Rant mode on. There is a reason, boys and girls, why women's matches during this point in time were considered the freaking bathroom break. Why? Because they all sucked donkey balls. Brie and Nikki Bella knew how to wrestle less then than they did the last time they were in the ring, which didn't improve much, because AJ was right. Talent is not sexually transmitted. So you would get Brie Bella, the lesser of the 2 Bellas in terms of in-ring acumen, versus Alicia Fox, versus Maxine, or what was the Russian chick's name? Not Lana, the
Svetlana.
Oksana,
sorry.
You get shit like that. And then maybe, or Layla and Michelle Cool. I'm sorry, I like Michelle Cool as a person. She seems like a very nice lady. She's married to The Undertaker, and I'll never say anything bad about Michelle Cool because she is married to The Undertaker, and I love me some Undertaker. But maybe once in a while you'd get a gem like Natty and Beth, or Molly, or Victoria, or somebody like that. But no, most of the time it's Dawn Marie and Tori Wilson in a bra and panties match. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm a red-blooded American male. Even though I'm happily married, I was single back then. I was in college, and you know what? I dug seeing them in next to nothing. But at the same time, as far as a wrestling match, I wanted to kill myself. It was brutal. And that, to me, was one of the most damning things about the Ruthless Aggression era, because, okay, here's the card as a whole. Here's the main event. This is going to be gangster, more than likely. Mid-card, maybe pretty good, because we've got some mid-card guys that can go, you know, and they had interesting storylines. I'll give you one example of someone that's no longer with us. The Samoan Bulldozer, Umaga.
Couldn't stand him.
But after that, it's like Wile E. Coyote falling off the cliff, strapped to like 17 animals. There's no bottom to the cliff. It's just a rapid free fall into the abyss of absolutely nothing until you finally hit the bottom and realize, I am surrounded by donkey crap. Rant mode off.
There you go.
That was pretty good. That was pretty good. I give that one a B. I give that one a B.
Yeah. If you had to pick your most valuable player of the Ruthless Aggression era, and it can't be John Cena.
Oh.
Because again, we've said before that John Cena is kind of an obvious one because there's no debating his resume at all.
John Cena is the gold standard of Ruthless Aggression.
Who would your MVP of the Attitude Era be? The Ruthless Aggression era, sorry.
Can I be honest? Just because of his maturation and his evolution as a character, Edge. Because when it started, when the Ruthless Aggression era started, you were looking at the combination of who were the three guys on SmackDown that they just pushed. It was Edge, it was Mysterio, and it was somebody else. And they were saying, it was Cena. But they were saying, this is the future of SmackDown. And because they were the ones that started to war with the cabinet. Because I remember, because if memory serves correctly, Mysterio dove off the cage onto the Basham brothers, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're right.
I would have to say Edge, because Edge goes from that to starting to turn heel around WrestleMania 21, winning the first ever Money in the Bank, and then you get to New Year's Evolution in Buffalo when he cashes in, and that's when he becomes the ultimate opportunist. And they evolve his character from then and put him in some damn good storylines. Thank you, Vicky fucking Guerrero. Vicky Guerrero put with Edge, gave Edge the heater he needed. And because of that, and then his feud with Cena and becoming a multi-time world champion and then flipping and turning face to end his career, once Edge got to the top of the mountain, Edge never got boring. I can't say the same thing about Randy Orton, because even though Randy got there, Randy faltered. Cena obviously didn't, because Cena was the face of the damn company. But, even as Triple H and The Undertaker were still a massive part of WWE at that point, Triple H and Undertaker were using their cachet, their equity to get these guys over. Triple H stopped being the golden shovel at that point and was putting these guys over, putting Cena over, putting Edge over, putting Orton over. And then WrestleMania 24 happened? Yeah, 24 in Orlando when Ric Flair retired. And you had Edge and Undertaker for the world title. That was it. That was like, okay, Edge is already here and already here at the height, but now we're going to stick the rocket up his ass. Here you go, big man. And as much of an Edge head as I am, I'm looking at this from a very unbiased opinion. Edge, because of the way he grew, because he went from being a mid-carder to the most hated guy in the company in a span of a couple of years.
Right.
And a lot of that work he did on his own. So for me, MVP of the entire Ruthless Aggression era, not named John Cena, would be Edge. What say you?
I tend to agree, if for no other reason than Edge was around for basically all of it. Batista was gone for time, for times because of injury, because of, what have you. We mentioned before how Lesnar wasn't around for most of it.
Orton had shoulder injuries.
Yes. And as we mentioned about Triple H and Undertaker, they were using their status to cement other people's legacies too.
Real quick, let me ask you a question before you get into yours. And I'm sorry to cut you off, but this just literally popped into my head. All right, so during the Ruthless Aggression era, toward the end of it, that's when they gave Randy Orton that whole I hear voices, and they made Orton this really dark, menacing kind of character as opposed to just, I'm a good-looking guy, I'm arrogant, I'm the legend killer, blah, 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 blah. If they would have done that to Orton 5 years previously or 3 years previously, would we be having a different discussion in terms of the MVP of Ruthless Aggression? Because I would be inclined to say yes, because I personally didn't find Randy Orton interesting until that. Because I got to be honest, Triple H handcuffed to the ropes, and then Randy Orton doing the rope hung DDT onto Stephanie, then kissing her. Oh, you know me in heel work. I'm like, oh, that's dirty. That's dirty, and you're gonna die for that.
See, and I would disagree, because what have we said about Orton before? You have to, if you're going to be that dastardly of a heel, you've got to keep finding new depths to sink to. And that's just 3 more years of there's nowhere else to go with this character except a flatline.
Yeah. Which Randy has done that a lot. Randy has flatlined. He's plateaued a lot. So, okay. Very good point. Very good point. I will very easily concede that one.
So that'd be the only thing I would say to that is, okay, well, yeah, but where does he go with that? Because and the only problem with the Triple H storyline was that it wasn't allowed to be the kind of match it deserved as a blow-off. You had all of that escalation and all of that buildup and all of that, emotion invested into it, and then, your match has to be just a wrestling match at WrestleMania.
Also, keep in mind, it was at WrestleMania. It had to
follow Shawn and Taker.
No, it was at 24, wasn't it?
No, that was at 25.
Oh, yeah. You had to follow Shawn and Taker. Sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry, but during, from WrestleMania 18 to WrestleMania 25, Triple H got screwed so many times at WrestleMania because he had what looked to be an amazing match, and then Rock Hogan happened, or Shawn and Triple H happened, and Triple H is waiting to go on next and just going, oh, son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Because I remember the story of him and Jericho screaming at Vince the morning of WrestleMania, you can't put us on after Hogan Rock. You can't do it. It's a title match. It's got to go on last. No, you can't do it. They're going to be out of gas. Well, we're doing it anyway. And they were right. And then Trips and Randy Orton are having the same conversation with Vince, but not as heated. Triple H said, I got a bad feeling about this. I got a bad feeling that Shawn and Taker are going to kill this. I got a bad feeling. Nope. You guys are going on first. Halfway through the match, because I remember, I think it was on one Triple H's For Kingdom Come documentary. He looked, him and Randy were both in Gorilla watching that match, and he just looked at Randy and went, well, this is going to be a long night.
Yeah.
But yeah, Hunter got screwed so much because he was just like, great. This could have been a great match, but now I'm going to have a dead crowd because they've just blown their gas tank on this. Thanks, guys. They could, Shawn and Taker come back to Gorilla after that, and they're like, follow that, dudes. Yeah, no.
Well, if there are no objections from the class, maybe we should hand in that homework.
Let's hand in some homework because I was pumped to assign this one. Our homework from last week was one of a really good match. It is very topical because at Wrestle Kingdom back in January, we said goodbye to the career of one Jushin Thunder Liger. So I picked his only appearance ever on a WWE television screen. By the way, rumor has it Liger might actually be inducted into the Hall of Fame this year, which would be gangster. Jushin Thunder Liger at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn Uno against Tyler Breeze. As we said last week, Tyler Breeze in his first inception at NXT was the measuring stick. There were guys that got over on him, but you didn't ascend in NXT until you wrestled Breeze, because Breeze is one of the best workers they had, still is in my opinion. He went to the main roster and they just fumbled that thing. But I love this match because, number one, it's Liger. I've always had a soft spot for Liger. I've always thought Liger was cool, and how innovative he was, and how he evolved as he got older and heavier. So I have a lot to say about this match, but I'm going to let Brian go first, and then I'll fill in gaps. Hit it, buddy.
I think the first statement you need to make about this match is, what does it say about how much faith the powers that be at NXT have in Tyler Breeze if a legend like Jushin Thunder Liger is going to make a one-off, presumably only appearance on NXT/WWE programming? Who are we going to put across from him? You know, Tyler Breeze, you know, what do you think? And these two went out and had an absolute stone cold classic.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the mystique of Liger, because you can tell a lot of people in the audience didn't know a whole lot about him. You know, they still popped because they knew, okay, this guy's obviously a big deal.
You know, just like if they would, you know, they may never have seen Kazuchika Okada, but if Okada were to show up on Raw or SmackDown or NXT, hey, we know, dude, they did the same thing with Nakamura. You did the same thing with Nakamura. I've heard the name. I know you talked about him, Pat. I know he's a big name. I remember you texting me during his entrance at TakeOver Dallas. This guy is, I can't remember how you phrased it, but this guy is interesting or eclectic or something like that. And then about 5 minutes into the match, you're like, your tone changed to, this guy's kind of weird, to holy shit.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's what you have here. It's obviously a clash of styles. It's like, okay, how is Breeze going to mesh with Liger? But, you know, not even 2 minutes into the match, they just start trading moves on each other. And it looked seamless. It looked fluid. It looked all of those things that we want out of a match of this caliber. You know, and Tyler Breeze definitely did the job he set out to do. He made Liger look like $1 million. Liger got to go over on him, you know, and you could tell how appreciative the crowd was at the end of it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because this is an NXT crowd, don't forget, and they're into that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So
NXT crowds are, I would even argue, more appreciative of really good professional wrestling than ECW crowds were.
Yeah. So for all of those reasons, this match gets a stone cold A from me. I mean, it's just, it's worth seeking out if you haven't seeked it out yet on the network. It's worth seeking out on YouTube, wherever you can find it. It's a great investment of your time.
Yeah. Well, before I give my thoughts on the match, Brian, if you want some extra credit on more Jushin Thunder Liger that you can find on the network, he has 2 matches from the early 90s against Brian Pillman.
Okay.
For the WCW light heavyweight title. Oh, they're good. Keep in mind, back then, Pillman was no slouch either. And those were great matches. So if you want some extra credit and you want to see more Liger, you can find those on the network. Then again, there are ways that we can mooch New Japan, even though you won't be able to hear any commentary in English. But yeah, there's those 2 matches, especially because you also got Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone calling those from way back in the day. So good stuff. For me, this match has been an A the whole time. I've watched this match a million times, so much that I did not watch it this week. Why? Because I know the match. I loved the match. This isn't what I would consider one of the greatest matches of all time, but this is in my list of, this is just one of my favorite, most fun matches to watch. It's just fun because it's just good. Because not only, first off, Breeze's entrance was just baller. You know, he had a way about entrances that were just over the top and very Zoolander-esque, which I thought was just so cool. I loved how they let him get away with those in NXT, much like they let other guys get away with interesting entrances like Balor and Nakamura and Bobby Roode when their time came. I do miss that about TakeOver, is not getting those anymore. You don't get those, which, I wouldn't mind seeing, you know, finding a way to incorporate more of that and maybe less poppy. But anyway, I digress. Right. That chick creepy. I'm just saying. That chick creepy. But Breeze got, you know, you got to see what both guys had. And both guys put the other over. Breeze got his moves in. Breeze was able to show off his speed. Breeze was able to show off just how fluid of a mat technician he is, despite all the I'm pretty and, you know, my ruffly boots and everything else, and my Egyptian gear, which was pretty cool. But you got to see what made Tyler Breeze Tyler Breeze. And then you got to see what made Liger Liger, because you got to see the surfboard submission. And that surfboard submission, I don't care. I don't care how old that move is, but when somebody posts up the way that Liger did with Breeze, and you've got full extension of arms and legs, and you just tabletop that dude, man, that is a beautiful thing to see. I mean, there is architecture in that move because of the way the balance is. And then Liger drops Breeze back down to his knee and grabs the rear chin lock. And I'm like, oh, that's just straight Japan right there. That's beautiful. I've only seen two dudes pull that move off. Liger, Muta. Game over. But it's just beautiful. Muta also did it with a Dragon Sleeper, which hurt looking at. Ow. The only thing I didn't like, because obviously you're not going to get it, because at this point Liger's pushing 50. You know, no high flying from Liger, because Liger had evolved into a mat technician. Lots of strikes, strong style, as opposed to the high flying daredevil that Jushin Thunder Liger was in the early to mid 90s. Keep in mind, this is the dude that invented the shooting star press, which everybody does now. Nobody ever did it better than Liger. You know, there's the OG and everybody else. But just the contrast of styles, like you said, how they just meshed and just flowed within each other, and it was just interlaced. It's a certain poetry to it that I have always enjoyed watching. Why it's on my list of, yeah, this is just a good fun match. I dig this match. It's the middle of the road, lock, stock, and two smoking barrels. If I got to put a number to it, it's a 93, 94, 95. It doesn't pass 95 because it's not one of those, you know, this is, you know, one of the matches you must see before you die, which, you know, that's 96 and above. Right. But it's fun. It is a fun match. Real quick, I thought of something while I was talking about this, going back to the Ruthless Aggression era. We saw a lot of cool things. We saw a lot of really bad things. We also saw a couple of cringy things. And I got to bring one up. Without the Ruthless Aggression era, Joey Mercury does not get his face rearranged.
Yeah, that was unfortunate.
Injury in the history of professional wrestling that didn't either paralyze or kill somebody. Yeah.
So since we were talking about Ruthless Aggression earlier tonight.
Ladder match, aren't we? We're going to watch that ladder match from Armageddon.
No.
Okay.
Nope. The homework for this evening is also going to be from Ruthless Aggression.
Wait. There's something else that we forgot all about from the Ruthless Aggression era. The GMs of Raw and SmackDown, which also gave us Teddy Long and all them tag team matches. And don't forget, you're also going to see The Undertaker. I had to get that in. I love Teddy Long. I've met him a couple times. Such a cool dude. So, I mean,
we're going to have a 5-on-4 handicap tag team match, player.
Yeah. Oh, man. Teddy Long is the shit. I love that dude. And you know, gotta get the dance in, whatever the hell that thing was.
Sadly, tonight's homework does not feature Teddy Long, unfortunately.
Wait. Could it by any chance involve, my name is Mr. John Laurinaitis, and I am the Executive Vice President of Talent Relations.
Nope.
And the Assistant General Manager of Monday Night Raw.
It does not. You're 0 for 5. I mean, you can keep, you know. For your homework tonight, we are going back to the year 2006.
Okay.
The event is No Way Out.
Okay.
Kurt Angle versus The Undertaker for the WWE Championship.
I have no memory of this.
Well, then you better take a deep seat because
I have no. Is this? This is back to Dead Man Taker. We are past Biker Taker, right?
Yes.
All right, so this is back to Dead Man Taker.
Yes.
I have no memory of this.
Okay, well.
I feel like Gandalf in the first Lord of the Rings movie. I have no memory of this place.
You'll thank me.
What year?
2006. No Way Out. Kurt Angle versus The Undertaker.
So if it's Kurt Angle and The Undertaker, so this can't be bad.
Right.
Who's the champ going in?
Kurt's
the champ going in against Taker. So is Angle the heel or are they both faces?
This was when Angle started to be developed that. I think this is around the time like he becomes part of ECW.
Oh,
he's wearing the mouth guard and, you know, his head is like completely bald now. He's not wearing the stupid, you know, wrestling cap and, you know, hairpiece like he was in like 2003, 2004. I mean, this is a hard-edged Kurt Angle now.
Now, if it's ECW Kurt Angle, I'm sorry. The only thing bad about ECW Kurt Angle was the music. Why they didn't need to change that shit. But ECW Kurt Angle was scary.
Because I want to say 06 was right around the time they relaunched it.
Yeah.
Maybe. But this was like the Angle starting to like descend into full-on heel territory here.
Okay. This is toward the end of close to the end of Angle's exit from WWE and when he went to TNA.
Yes.
That'll be interesting. Yeah, I have no memory of this match whatsoever.
You're gonna learn today.
Hey, you just gave me a match with Angle and Taker. I'm good with this one. All right, well, we've gone a little bit longer than I wanted to go, but you know what? It was a good show, so I don't care.
Hopefully, we've been ruthlessly aggressive enough for all of you out there.
We've definitely been ruthlessly aggressive enough for this show because, you know, I've sworn a lot and, you know, we haven't been heated with each other, but we've had heated points for both of us. Obviously, your heated and my heated are two totally different things. You know, Brian just points more at the camera when he's heated and I get louder and start screaming. I'm like a white, angry, redneck Stephen A. Smith. No, it's really bad. I'm a white, less annoying Stephen A. Smith.
Okay, that's better.
Yes. I may just beep that first one out completely and just go censored because Patrick has said something stupid.
Whatever you think.
Yeah. All this is gonna make the show. Because the song, our music, which is brought to you each and every week by our boy Ace 500, is playing in the background. Don't forget to check out his SoundCloud. You can catch the link right there. So check out our boy Ace. Show him some love for showing us some love. Brian, before we get out of here, any final thoughts?
Watch the Ruthless Aggression series on the network. Check it out and take a walk down memory lane, because warts and all, it is one of the important eras in WWE's history. A lot of great talent came out of it. A lot of great matches came out of it. One of which we've given you for homework tonight. So check it out.
My final thought on the Ruthless Aggression era is, whereas the Attitude Era saved professional wrestling, well, the Attitude Era and WCW, NWO saved pro wrestling, Ruthless Aggression built what we now know as professional wrestling, because the Ruthless Aggression era gave us OVW, which then morphed into FCW, which we now know as NXT.
Well said.
Evolution. And I don't mean the faction, but the faction was badass too, because that gave us one of professional wrestling's true great theme songs. Line in the Sand by Motorhead is just freaking awesome. But then again, it's Motorhead, so. Anyway, you've seen the socials, you've seen the email, you've seen the Google repository. There's the credits. For Brian, I'm Patrick. It's been rant mode. This has been some rant mode on and some wrestling with egos. We'll see you guys next week, and until then, that's our story, and we're sticking to it.